If you are wondering if you should purchase the new Morning and Evening Meditations by Dr. Joe Dispenza, this video is for you. Let's dive in. Hey there and welcome. My name is Dr. Jessica. I'm a naturopathic doctor, acupuncturist, and a health coach, and I help clients deal with stress, anxiety, and fatigue. And one of the ways in which I do this is through working with mindset, and meditation is a huge part of this. I have some other videos on the channel about using Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations. I've gone to some of his week-long retreats, and I just wanted to share this updated version of the Morning and Evening Meditations and what the difference is between the previous version and kind of whether or not you should spend your money on buying these. So I really love the volume 1 version of these meditations. They're about 25 minutes, 23 minutes, both for AM and for PM. They are a great way to set intentions for your day, to decide who you want to be, how you want to feel, how you want to walk through life. But this newer version, I would say, is a little bit more evolved. So for the new versions, we'll start with talking about the AM, and then we'll kind of talk about the PM as well. So one of the biggest differences, and this goes for both the AM and the PM, in this new version, they are a little bit longer. These clock in around 30 minutes or 34 minutes for the AM meditation, as compared to about 25 minutes for the previous version. Now let's start with the AM meditation, and right off the bat, the big difference I see here is in this newer volume, he jumps right into going straight into your heart center. He has you do a few breaths where you inhale and hold it, and he says breathe into your heart. So really trying to activate the heart center. In the previous volume, he spent more time starting off with just the space around you, and he would really start in the space between your ears and the space around your head, the space around your throat, and extending that around your throat. And then he would move on to your breastbone or the space around your heart, and then the space from your shoulders kind of to the outside of the room. So I would say that that is one of the big differences off the bat, is that this second volume is a little bit more evolved, where you kind of already know how to tap into your heart center, or center number 4 if you follow his work, versus with the previous volumes, he kind of warms you up a little bit. He practices that convergent and divergent focus first before really sinking into the heart center. So I would say in that aspect, this newer meditation is a little bit more evolved, a little bit more advanced. So now after you've kind of warmed up, you've gotten into the meditation, you're kind of heart focused or opened up your heart center, he then gives a lot of instruction, and he talks quite a bit more than in the previous volumes. So he first starts to prompt you, to tell you to remember the thoughts that you don't want to think. Remember, you're setting the intention for your day here. So he starts to prompt you saying, remember what you don't want to think. And he repeats this over and over. Remember what you don't want to think. What thoughts don't you want to fire and wire? What thoughts do you want to let go of? He's really focusing on this AM meditation, and especially in this volume, about who do you want to be in your day specifically? What do you want to let go of? What beliefs don't you want to hold on to? Then he asks you, what things don't you want to do? How don't you want to act throughout your day? And he really is prompting you to really think about this and to really become clear about what you want to let go and what you want to change. On top of that, then he goes into what feelings don't you want to feel? So no matter what you're trying to change, do you want to not feel angry? Do you not want to feel frustrated, unworthy? Whatever the feelings are, he wants you to be really specific and really think about and really kind of repeat it, because he repeats it over and over again. So he goes through your thoughts, and then your actions, and then really your feelings. And I would say the biggest difference between volume 2 and volume 1 here is he spends a lot of time repeating, and he's talking quite a bit more. Whereas in volume 1, in the AM meditation, he goes directly into kind of what is the vision of your future. And then later he goes back and says, okay, how don't you want to be? What don't you want to feel? But he puts way more emphasis on it in this volume 2. Then he goes into talking about, okay, now what do you want to think? What are the thoughts you want to fire and wire in your brain? And he keeps saying, remember, what thoughts do you want to fire and wire? What do you want to think? What beliefs do you want to have? What do you want to be thinking throughout your day? And again, he repeats the same sequence. So what do you want to think? And then how do you want to act? What behaviors do you want to have? And then ultimately, how do you want to feel? So he kind of splits the meditations between what you don't want and what you do want, and then really kind of hammers it home about this is how you're going to be in your day. You're giving up the behaviors of the past, and you're setting your intention for the day as to how you want to feel, so that then when you go to do your PM meditation, you can check in and remember those things and see how well you did. I would say the music in this one is pretty calming, relaxing, much like the music in the volume 1. He does use different tracks, however, and his voice is definitely mellow and calm, very similar to the first one. And I also should mention, just like in the volume 1, in volume 2, there is no specific pulling the mind out of the body type breath. So if you wanted to do that, you would have to use maybe a track from the Inspire CD first. Now, for the PM meditation, it is much the same as far as the comparison between volume 1 and volume 2. In volume 1, he again starts with the space and kind of works his way from, your head to your chest. So again, opening up the heart, focusing on the space around you and really trying to get into the void. Whereas in volume 2, he kind of jumps directly into your heart center. He does a few breaths where you hold it and relax your body, because you are preparing to go to bed. It is nighttime, the PM meditation. But again, one of the things he does in this volume 2 is constantly he's saying, stay with me, so that you don't fall asleep. He always says to sit up in the beginning, but I know a lot of people do the PM meditations lying down, but he does have a kind of more of a focus on making sure that you stay awake. And I would also say the music in the PM meditation is a little bit, not unnerving, but there's a moment in there where it gets a little feels like a sci-fi movie. And I think that's because he's actually trying to get you to stay awake. I think that in volume 1, the PM meditation music is a lot more calming, a lot more relaxing. If you were laying down, greater chance of you falling asleep. But I think intentionally he's changed the music a little bit to be almost a little bit more stimulating. And I think that's just to keep your awareness and to keep your focus. In volume 1, he talks about, after getting into your heart center, he talks about what was your vision for the future. And he kind of asks you to bring up your day and kind of what you did, basically how you did during your day. So then he kind of jumps into what was your vision of the future? How did you want to be? Remembering back to your AM meditation, what was the feeling of the day and the emotion that was tied to it? And then you kind of linger in this space, and then he asks you again to remember, or he asks you again to remind yourself now of who you don't want to be. So as you're winding down for the day, what don't you want to do? What are the things you want to change? And then kind of preparing for the next day as you go into your sleep. Who do you want to be? How do you want to think? How do you want to feel? And then you linger there for a while, and then he asks you to review your day. If you were kind of stepping outside of yourself, how did you do? Did you line up with those intentions that you set? How would you rate yourself? And then from there, what would you change? What did you do well, and what would you change? If you could get to go again tomorrow, how do you want to be? So I would say, again, in volume 1, it's more, he doesn't talk quite as much. He gives you a few prompts and kind of lets you linger. And now in volume 2, you start with reviewing your day, to celebrate what you did well, to reflect on what went really well. How were you? It's very similar. If you've been to one of the events, this is very similar to when he has you, after you come out of a meditation, and he has you turn to the person next to you and say, what did you do really good? What are you proud of? What are you celebrating in that last meditation? So very similar to that. And then he kind of says, if you could go again, what would you change? So, and what thoughts did you change during your day? How did you change? So becoming aware of the new things that you did manage to accomplish during your day. And then he has you kind of prep for the next day by saying, what new things did you do that you want to take into that day? What were the changes you made? And what do you want to be? How do you want to feel? How do you want to act? And then what don't you want to feel? How don't you want to act? How don't you want to be? And then he has you go kind of back into your heart center, and he kind of repeats relax in the heart, awaken the brain, until he finally says, then go ahead and lie down and drift away. So that's kind of the difference between volume 1 and volume 2. I find both versions very useful. It kind of depends on where you are in your journey and with your meditation. I would say the biggest difference is that if you feel like you need more help getting into your heart center, if you feel like you need more practice in kind of becoming aware of the space around you, then maybe you can just kind of stick with volume 1 for now. No need to upgrade. If you already have volume 1 and you feel like you're progressing in your meditations, you want to try something new, I think it's totally worth it. I really enjoy the new volume. I really enjoy his voice as well. Again, he has this kind of still firm, but more gentle, more relaxing. in a way, or he's not yelling at you. For me personally, I find it very helpful with the prompts and really making you think about what you want to do for your day, how you want to be, what don't you want to do, what thoughts you want to let go. I find that prompting really helpful, especially in the AM, just really setting the tone and being very specific about what I want to change in myself and like who I actually want to be and how I want to act. And I find that very helpful. So let me know your thoughts down below. Have you tried the new morning and evening meditations? If so, what are your thoughts? If you have any questions, of course, leave them down below. And I hope that this video was helpful. If it was, go ahead and leave me a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.